15-degree fold. See, without the push-through stand, you'd have mashed up the mega cone. That's what it looks like afterwards. See the situation. Hammer, 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 hammer. Nice big fold there, ready to be turned into a bangle. Lovely. Absolutely beautiful. Right. A lot of people are keen on these days turning a coin into a coin bangle. Cuff bangle with this system here is simple, efficient, and doesn't thin the coin out. It's the way it expands, the pressure is equal on the coin and the reed on every expansion. So first thing to do is fold your coin like this. You want a lovely big fold, get off to a flying start, and I'll show you what I mean once we folded this. I've got cone 1, spacer 1, cone 2, spacer 2, cone 3, spacer 3. Then you've got hash 1, hash 2, hash 3 in spaces. They're the in-betweens that will be necessary. So let's get a coin and fold it, and I'll show you how to get a nice big fold, and then we'll get going. Right, folding it with a mega cone, you need a stand because it will bottom out and you will mash your cone. So let's get the big fold. See where I'm coming from there? Now, if you didn't have that stand, that would have been mashed if it went straight onto your plate. Right. Now you have a nice big fold, you're off to a flying start. Fine. Cone 1, spacer 1. Now this system is worked on stability and the equal pressure from round. So you can see that that is too big for the reed. And it would pull it down and damage your reed. Now what you use is hash 1. It sits nicely on top there. Cone number 1 will not go through hash 1. So it's only there for a guide at this present time. I'll show you what I mean. The object is to expand at the same pressure continuously. You must have your reed stable. It'll expand, the pressure will expand it, but what it's doing, like other systems, say a pipe stretcher, it will expand in sections because it's a plate system. This will expand the same pressure all the way around, and it won't thin your ring, well, the cut side of your ring out as much. As it's going down, it's expanding your reed further and further. And you can feel it getting tight on the spacer, because this cone will not go through #1. It'll only go through number 1 spacer. Use #2. Steel wood cone number 1. It won't go through this spacer, so that it's maxed out. Number 2 is done. Might need these again. Far. I wasn't happy with #3, so I'm going to continue with #2. You can see where I'm coming from with the expansion. This system will only get you to a bangle stretcher. It won't choose the bangle. See how it's expanding? Slowly but surely, but the pressure is continuously all the way around there. It is the same pressure on each expansion. Now I want this to jam, because I want to show you how to release it. Because that will not go through #2. It'll only go through number 1. Now that's jammed on solid. You won't get that off, but what you do is you tip it upside down like that. Bring your ram down. And release it. There's a lot of pressure, as you can see. There you have your reed and your cut side is equal. Right. Now you're big enough to go onto your number 1. Your reed is expanded enough to be stable enough to push through into the well of your hydraulic press. There you have your expanded coin. And as you can see, there is no weak spots whatsoever, no thin spots whatsoever on that. Then the next stage you'll go on to cone number 2, but you anneal on every stage, so there'll be 3 anneals on this. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Second stage of the process is cone number 2, spacer number 2. first stage got us to 35 mil. I'll put that in. That's 1.41. You need to get to 1.6 to 1.8 depending on your Bangle Stretcher you use. But 1.6 is the Chinese version and closer to 1.8 is the Italian version that we use. But it does go on, but it's very, very tight. So that's 1.41 on the first expansion. Cone number 2. As I said before, it's a stability. Now that is not stable enough. That will kink like that and pull itself in, and the pressure will not be equal and it will buckle your reed. So you think to yourself, right, that's fine. That's for later on. Now you go back to your hash 2. Fits quite nicely and that's stable. So we'll get a push on hash 2. Remember, the cone will not go through, so it's going to jam. Should use grease really, it's a smoother push, but it's up to the individual. I'll grease up the next one. Sure. And if you're using the Harbor Freight press with the bottle jack, you split your plates the other way round, of course. They're completely square. But when you push through and it drops down into, when you release, you've got 2 bars that run parallel along the frame. You will need to cover them, otherwise you could drop your reed onto them and it would damage your reed. It's the last thing you need is to get to this stage and damage your reed. Right. So you just keep expanding. The reed's expanding. Now that's getting tight. You can feel it. That didn't jam, so that's fine. Right. Hash 2 is definitely finished with now, no longer required. Hash 3, very stable. Your in-between spaces are always going downwards to the cone. And you can see the way it expands. As I said earlier, it's all equal. So it won't thin your coin out, or it'll only thin your coin out to the degree that it's supposed to be thinned as you expand it. You'll have no weak spots whatsoever. You'll have no 6 points like a pipe stretcher, because it stretches with plates and it goes out, in, out, in, out, and that section there is being stretched more than that section there on a pipe stretcher. Now, people use pipe stretchers, not knocking a pipe stretcher, and some people are getting good results. So it's whatever system suits you. But this is the system that we've been, well, designed over a year ago, and it's been used for a year in the States. But and it's getting very, very good results. So, but let's carry on with this. Remember, cone number 2 will not go through hash 3 spacer. Now it's expanded enough, 2 and 2. Number 2 cone finished with. Your future coin bangle is coming on to a very, very nice size with 2 of the processes done. Now you'll do a hell of a lot quicker than this, but I'm having to stop and explain how it works here. But that there is on the second process. And let's have a look what the progress is. 1.56 on the second one. And more to the point, let's have a look at the cut side. So you can see no thinning whatsoever. Look, that is absolutely beautiful. Smooth and detail is crisp, and you're at 1.5 there. That's pretty big, that. Not quite big enough to get on a Bangle Stretcher yet. You got one more process. As you can see, it's just a little bit shy. So the third one, number 3 cone, will get that onto there, and then you're home and dry. And there's no inkling of a split here, but this is pure silver, and it works well with copper as well. Clad, haven't used clad, but there ain't a hint there. That's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Right, let's get this annealed. Cone number 3. Spacer number 3. Again, as you can see, you might just get away with that because the reed has expanded enough. You could get away with it, but it's still too dangerous, because if the pressure changes and it slips inside and you pull the reed inside out, it will buckle the whole thing. The pressure needs to be equal all the way from start to finish. So what I'll do is, we know this is stable to number 2 spacer. We always go down the one below. Number 3, number 2. Now, it is better to use a tiny bit of grease for a smoother push, but you've just seen me do 2 processes there, and I didn't need grease, but I would recommend it. Right, number 3, it cannot go through number 2. See it expanding, very, very smooth. Better with the grease. Bigger and bigger. Detail, absolutely crisp. Nothing. Right, now that's starting to jam on number 2, because number 3 cone is too big to push through number 2. Right, that's jammed on solid. Same principle again. Now you can hold that, or you can hold your cone and your ring from underneath. But what we do is you just, like I said, if you're using the Harbour Freight, make sure those bars running parallel on the bottom are covered. You need a little bit of jiffy or a thick rag or whatever, because you will regret it, because it will damage your reed. Now this has got a lot of pressure. Pop, out it comes. And number 2 is no longer required. Number 3, now you've got the stability on your reed to complete the process and home and dry. You can use a flat punch to push through, or a rod of Delrin, or smaller cone. Doesn't really matter what you use. Right, process is done. There you have one perfectly stretched coin ready for the Bangle Stretcher. Hasn't thinned out, detail is good, and we are on 1.64, which is big enough to get onto the die. Next is the Bangle Stretcher, so let's get set up for that. Right, you've expanded your coin to the size you require for your Bangle Stretcher, and it hasn't thinned out at all there. The reed, a little bit disappointed. It hasn't kept what I'd like, but it hasn't lost its shape, but it's just lost its... I'll polish that later, it won't be a problem, but that's but now you see this. That was the easy stage. Getting it to this size is the easy stage. Got no problems whatsoever because the way it expands. But this now is going back into the same principle as a pipe stretcher. They're all the same because they're a plated system which we push up and pushes the plates out. As I was saying, that was the easy section. This is the hard section. Now, what you can do is, you've got 6 pressure points. Now, we don't bother because we're used to it. But the thing is, you see the 6 black marks, marked with a Sharpie. That's where the stretch will be. So as you stretch your ring, well, your coin, you flick it around a little bit more. Now, if you're new to it and you want to make sure, you can just mark them all again. And stretch. Now those 2 sections there have been stretched. That hasn't, because it's only stretching it from here. That's where the pressure is. And you can mark it again if you want to. I didn't know that. So you just keep going every time you stretch, but in time you won't bother with this. You'll just get straight onto it. Stretch. Flick it around again. All the black marks have been stretched. These haven't yet. So if you keep clicking, 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 and by the time you get to the bottom, but we don't bother. We just slowly catch. See now, that should be, because they've been stretched, those marks. Nice and slowly. There you have it. Detail is absolutely fantastic still. Let's check what it is. .76. Now I want to take this to 2.0 because I wear 2.41 as a cuff. That's 2.41. So that's what I want, but I want to stop on 2.2, then shape it with Bangle Mandarin, $29.99 from eBay. Lovely shape. Or on the Italian version, which this is, you can get oval guys. I'll show you. Which are oval in shape, and then you, as you stretch your bangle on these, it comes into an oval shape, and then you just have to cut where you want your opening. But that is done. Right, on to your next stage. Next up. This is Italian, this version. They're accurate and they're very good. But the Chinese version is half the price, and apparently, I have never used one, but I've got it on a good authority, that it's really, really good. So it might be worth looking at. But when you do your research, you should factor in import duty on top, so work it out what's best value for money for you. But if I was starting from scratch again, I'd probably go with the Chinese version for on cost. But this is a nice unit. Now we're on. Keep an eye on your detail all the time. Keep an eye on your coin for thinning. That hasn't got any thin marks in it whatsoever. That, to get to this stage and that size, a £2 coin with that much detail, it's remarkable system. Now, I'm not saying the cone system is the best, each to their own, but it's simple and it's efficient, and it doesn't thin your coin out because the pressure is equal all the way round on every expansion. But you must, as you've seen in earlier stages, make sure your reed is stable so the pressure is stable. Even if it twists, you're in trouble. So always use the cone, the spacer below the cone till it's maxed out. Release it. If it jams, then onto the next spacer. Done. That is absolutely perfect. Very, very accurate. Right. Anneal in between every time. You can never anneal enough. Well, this is probably my stop. I want 2.20. 2.29, that's 2.25. That'll do because I want 2.41. That's what I wear. And I'll finish that off and I'll shape it on the, as I said, I'll shape it on that. I won't use old dies, I use that because I actually prefer this than the set of dies I bought for this. A bit of a waste of money there. For $29.99, that's a good investment from eBay if you're planning on doing coin bangles. But I don't actually see a market for them, but we don't build to sell anyway, so probably don't know what I'm talking about there. But do your costings accurately and see if this you can make money at it. Nice and slowly, there's no rush. Check your cut side for thinning. Nothing. Look. Don't know if you can see it perfectly there. But there ain't any thinning there whatsoever. Detail, Elizabeth II, crisp. $2. I thought it was a £2 coin. What do I know? $2. 2018. Perfect. Size check. That's not right. Get it on, probably it'll be alright. So 225, 226, very accurate dies. Perfect. Now I'm finished with the Bangle Stretcher now, so I'm going to finish it off on the, I want to tap it round and shape it into an oval shape and mark where I'm going to put my cut. And I've got myself a coin bangle. Very nice indeed. Very nice. Right, so we've gone up to the final process and we're done. Right, you're on to your shaping and cutting. Now always work out where you want to put your cut, because you don't want to end up all nicely shaped and it cuts your two off your $2 or your date out or your ELIZ out of Elizabeth, and then you only got ABs for whatever it is. So you pick on the, now it's going to be an inch cut or 3/4 of an inch. That's about standard on any bangle. Now I would rather lose that than any other detail there. So that's going to be where my cut is. And when you see, the cut is going to be there. So that is going to be there. So, but when you tap it into shape, don't hit the detail. Just tap the rim. Or the reed. It's getting there, but I've got about another 2 points on that, but I'll dress that. 2.33, so I've got another 8 to go on that, 0.8 to go on that, and then I'll be the size that I want to fit me. So I'm just going to anneal that, but it's pure silver, so you can anneal that to butter, and you should be able to get the extra 0.8 on this next one. Right, final stage, all annealed, ready to go. Details pucker, $2, 2018. That's as clear as a daisy there. Clear as a daisy. But the most important thing about this demonstration today is the way the coin handled the expansion. Now that, there's no thin spots on it at all. It's very good. In fact, I could probably take that a lot larger on the Bangle Stretcher, but I want it for me. I won't wear it. I don't wear jewellery, but just testing a few things out. Now, that's where I want my cut, because that's the detail I can afford to lose. As I said before, I don't want the $2 off, and I don't want Elizabeth II off. I definitely don't want the date off. So I'll take that in the middle there. Right. Top of the reed where the meat is. Pop it into shape. Don't have to hit it hard. 2.41 is my target size. Right. It's a nice oval shape. That's where my cut will be. I'll cut 3/4 of an inch out of that, and then I'll shape it around. Let's check my size. Zero out. And you just saw what I did there, and I didn't hardly hit that at all. And I've missed my, I wanted 2.41. That's on 2.5. Well, I actually wear 2.51 because my wrist is 8 inches, but I like it a lot tighter than that. But so that'll still fit me, but that still have missed my target. This pure silver stuff, whew, gutted about that. Nice shape, but gutted. Might be able to bring that in a bit. But that's basically how to make a coin bangle with a few cones, Bangle Stretcher, and a $29.99 bangle mandolin. Thanks. I'll put that down on the bench, and it'll probably stay there for the rest of its life. Like I say, I don't wear jewellery, I don't sell jewellery, so that's it. Thank you. Demonstration over. Mm.